doesn't upload because it's storming like crazy here. And I figure if I hit go live, then that's when I'm going to lose power. And I'm way too irritated to deal with all of those issues. Not to mention, Mercury has not gone direct yet. So, here we are. Okay. So, we've had a lot of people realistically show themselves to us lately. And, I'm glad they did. I'm glad we know now so we don't have to deal with it later. But, I don't, poor little Eli. He's not having a good time. It's crap. It's crap that we have to go through that. I mean, we already are in an environment where there's sides. One side, we're the mean girls, we carry this reputation, and let them think that. I could care less. I could care less what my public persona is, the life I carry on in the fear and hearts of weak ass people. I could care less. But for us, our team, our friends, our relationships that we've strengthened, there has been people amongst those ranks who, listen, we should have seen it coming. But that's why I'm going ahead with this live today. Or, I'm sorry, this upload. This is not a live. Because this is something that recently has come into play for me. Again, I'm learning all of these things, never knowing that they existed. So I'm behind in normal human things. But now that I know it, I realize I'm not the only one that's behind in these normal human things. The upbringing that we've all had, the things we've been through, or maybe it just wasn't explained correctly. So, y'all know I like to do things like that where I put it into a thing that makes sense and spread it everywhere because this right here, what I'm going to go over today, it's huge. So, I'll bring up Roger, for instance. Roger, that was the recent fallout. And there's been some other fallouts here lately of people that I was very close to. And I should have seen it. When we go through life, we're not given a playbook, we're not given a handbook. So when we feel in our gut something's off, always want to give it like the benefit of the doubt. You always want to say, well, maybe they didn't mean it, maybe, and I'll just say this on my own. I felt the relationship with Roger, it was totally one-sided. I seen him cry and cry when people did not give him the attention he thought he deserved. So, in my opinion, and then I watched him cry that things weren't taken privately. Well, Roger, that's a two-way street. That's where reciprocity comes in. So you want people to go behind the scenes to cater to your needs, your lack of public embarrassment, when you know we're the side to publicly embarrass you when you fucking need it. So he could have went to Nicolina and said, Nicolina, I feel like you're not taking my feelings into consideration because you haven't went live. I know you're busy, but still. You haven't went live to do my trauma history that I've went over 1,000,000 trillion times. Come the fuck on. But you wanted us to go private with it, in your case, to benefit you. No, dude, I watched you go live and cry about Nicolina not paying attention to you, but then I also watched you go live after live after live and support someone when all along you had all these women supporting you, and you spit in their face. It's not about grace. It's about how you're simping for her now when you've had some tried and true and tested. You have tested some relationships and women, and they have catered to your every need. They've gotten you set up with wish lists. They've gotten you set up with, tried to get water to your residence so you could live like a normal person. But it's clear to me you don't want to. So this is why I'm actually doing this reciprocity upload, to kind of go over reciprocity as a social construct, It's so important. I believe more than anything. Be true to yourself. Always, even when it hurts. Even when you don't have any real friends. Even when you lose your friends because you're weird. Live your authentic life. And you know what? If they were your real friends, they'd be with you through the thick and thin. But again, in a poor me situation, when you have a friend that's always like, poor me, poor me, poor me, dude, you don't want to be around them. But you tough it out and you try to tell them, hey, you're wallowing in your own self pity, and then they're mad at you. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's you being a good friend. You, in those specific Roger situation, there were red flags. There were some serious red flags. I think the biggest red flag was when Pindar tried to get someone to go get an estimate for the damage on his property so they could reinstall the water pipes or whatever had to be done. No one truly knows. That was a huge red flag. But not knowing, not of ever being through that, or going through that, I mean, you don't know that's a red flag. You just know you feel kind of some type of way about it. Then what happens is then you feel guilty. So as time goes on and the same energy isn't put into the other person, the one person giving starts to feel guilty because you get to a point where you feel like they're not going to make it without you. So then the codependency begins, okay? So reciprocity is huge. It's in everywhere. Every form of life, every walk of life, every rich, poor, uh, dogs, animals. It's in everything. It's in every animal. It's in birds. It's in, think about it, building a nest, everything is reciprocity. So, in social psychology, reciprocity is a social norm of responding to a positive action with another positive action, rewarding kind actions. As a social construct, reciprocity means that in response to friendly actions, people are frequently much nicer and much more cooperative than predicted by the self interest model. Conversely, in response to hostile actions, they are frequently much more nasty and even brutal. I know if you ever know me or you've ever talked to me personally, I say, I match your energy. If you're only giving me so much, I'm only giving you so much because my entire life I've given entirely too much. I think that's what kind of brings all of us mean girls together and those around us who are also our friends because we're givers. Okay? There's givers in this world and there's takers. And then there's sometimes where people say, you know what? I've given way too much. I'm going to back that off. And they unfortunately go the opposite way, and then they get all sorts of out of balance, and it's a mess. But you learn about reciprocity, like myself, and then you realize, oh, I just got to tone it back a little bit. I just have to match their energy and choose going forward to only give my energy to those people that deserve it. Okay? And by that I mean, if I'm in a position where I have a friendship and it's not a two-way street, I don't want that friendship to continue. And it's not about giving like you're giving them. It could be giving emotionally. It can be financial. It can be, a monetary thing. But typically what I'm doing about this live is more of an emotional type. Again, yes, it's in every walk of life. So I'm going to give you an example or a few examples of how reciprocity is in all types of situations. So examples of reciprocity in everyday life would be a salesperson giving a freebie to a potential customer, hoping that it will lead them to return the favor by purchasing something. Another example, a leader offering attention and mentorship to followers in exchange for loyalty. Another example is offering customers some valuable information in exchange for signing up for future marketing offers. And then in relationships, reciprocity often looks like supporting one another in different situations. For example, you might comfort your partner when something doesn't go their way, and in return, they will provide comfort and support when you're having a bad day. So that's how reciprocity looks. Those are just a few examples. I could go on all day, so we'll kind of move past that. So reciprocity also allows people to get things done that they would not be able to do on their own. By working together or exchanging services, people can accomplish more than they would individually. Reciprocity is both a blessing and a curse, as it fosters relationships, but it also exposes us to manipulation. So I wanted to cover just the bad for just a little bit and how it can lead you into walking right into manipulators. So it's important to remain vigilant in all aspects of all relationships, but I don't want to spend too much time on the manipulative aspect of it. But love bombing, and I know that term is thrown around a lot, but that is a perfectly good example. When someone comes into your life and they love bomb you, and I could do a whole nother episode on love bombing, but I wouldn't. It's just not my thing to cover. But there's many resources out there. So love bombing for sure is a clear sign that someone's intentions are negative. And like I said, that's the negative aspect of reciprocity, but if used correctly, just like with everything in life, everything can be used good or bad. It's the person's intentions behind it that make the difference. So a little bit of history. Reciprocity dates as far back as the time of Hammurabi, which was 1792 to 1750 BC. Hammurabi's Code, a collection of 282 laws and standards, lists crimes and their various punishments as well as guidelines for citizens' conduct. The code demanded the individual act in terms of the public interest. The eye for an eye principles in which the laws were written mirror the idea of direct reciprocity. For example, if a person caused the death of another person, the killer would be put to death. Law number 196. If a man destroy the eye of another man, they shall destroy his eye. If one breaks a man's bones, they shall break his bones. If one destroy the eye of a free man, or break the bone of a free man, he shall pay 1 gold mina. If one destroy the eye of a man's slave, or break a bone of a man's slave, he shall pay 1/2 his price. So reciprocity was also a cornerstone of ancient Greece. In Homeric Greece, citizens relied on reciprocity as a form of transaction, as there was no formal system of government or trade. In Homer's Iliad, he illustrates several instances of reciprocal transactions in the form of gift giving. For example, in Book 6 of the Iliad, Glaucus and Diomedes exchange armor when they discover that their grandfathers were friends. However, there were times when direct reciprocity was not possible, specifically in times of great need when a citizen had nothing to give for repayment. Thus, deferred reciprocity was also prevalent in Greek culture at this time. Deferred reciprocity refers to giving a person's gifts or favors with the understanding that they will repay this favor at another time when the initial giver is in great need. This form of reciprocity was used extensively by travelers, particularly in the Odyssey. Odysseus often had to rely on the kindness of human strangers and other mythological creatures to secure resources along his journey. In the classical Greek polis, large-scale projects such as construction of temples, building of worships, and financing of choruses were carried out as gifts from individual donors. In Rome, wealthy elite were linked with their dependents in a cycle of reciprocal gift giving. As these examples suggest, reciprocity enjoyed a cultural prestige among ancient aristocracies for whom it was advantageous. So that gives you a brief rundown of every aspect of life reciprocity impacts, just kind of showing you it's everywhere. It's business, it's your personal, it's relationships, everything. Also, the negative and positive associations and its history. So now I want to cover the main I love when I get tongue tied. So now I want to cover the main topic, which would be reciprocity in relationships. And like I said, as of late, now that we've all had a time to reflect, okay, I should have picked up on this part in there. I had this red flag go on. Now we know these are all red flags. Now we know, it's not about being suspicious people, it's just about being smart. And as you see, from 17 freaking 50 BC, which is before Christ, okay, reciprocity played an integral part in society. So why wouldn't that be true today? I'm learning the more I look into things, all of these notions, all of these ways of life from the past, if they were still being implemented today, we'd be a lot better off. So, reciprocity in relationships is the mutual exchange of energy and support between partners. There are different types of reciprocity. Generalized reciprocity is giving without expecting a specific outcome. Balanced reciprocity is an equal give and take, and negative reciprocity is unequal. In a healthy relationship, each individual takes turns giving and receiving energy and support so everyone feels well loved. So, the importance of reciprocity in relationships is a healthy emotional reciprocity is a critical factor in any committed relationship, romantic or otherwise, because it's a key indicator of love and support. In a relationship with healthy reciprocity, each individual feels they give and receive energy. This feeling of mutual exchange strengthens the relationship overall. On the flip side, a lack of reciprocity can create an unhealthy relationship where one partner experiences burnout or feels used or unloved. 3 types of reciprocity in relationships are: number 1 being balanced reciprocity, a situational form of reciprocity. Balanced reciprocity is the act of giving something and expecting a specific and roughly equivalent outcome in return as repayment. For example, you may give a birthday gift expecting one in return on your birthday. Generalized reciprocity is the second one. Like altruism, which altruism is the belief in or practice of disinterested and selfless concern for the well-being of others. So I think they also call that philanthropy. Generalized reciprocity is giving freely without expecting anything specific in return aside from general goodwill. Generalized reciprocity harbors a sense of mutual respect and connectedness. These reciprocal relationships are common with people you love and trust deeply, including friends, family members, romantic partners, and other loved ones. And then the third is negative reciprocity, the least equitable. And equitable means fair and impartial. So it's the least equitable form of reciprocity. Negative reciprocity is the act of giving minimally only to receive something, usually of greater value, in return. It does not have a place in healthy romantic relationships. And again, this is not financial. It's not always financial. It's emotional, financial. It can be both, but so how to practice reciprocity in relationships. Encourage open communication. Healthy communication is the bedrock of any relationship, whether romantic or platonic. It's also a great way to ensure your connection remains reciprocal. Practice active listening and confirm each person in the relationship feels happy with the give and take of energy and support. So, in the example that we used earlier about Roger, open communication would have been him taking that privately. Nicolina could have made the choice in that moment and said, Roger, I can't be there like that for you. I understand that's what you want, but I can't do that. But that step was never done. He went live and cried about it. And then, of course, Nicolina is going to feel bad, but that's manipulative. So that is definitely an example of not being an open communicator. So even though he did it publicly on a live and he was communicating it, that's not open communication. That's being a crybaby. Number 2, remember to take. Sometimes you need support too. Avoid a non reciprocal situation by taking in addition to giving. Healthy interdependence is important in a relationship. Like I mentioned before, dependency is caused by negative reciprocity. And givers, people that give more than they receive, they are codependent people. And so if you want to fix your codependency, that's where the issue, that's where it all stems from. You're giving too much, you're not taking enough, and you're never telling your partner, hey, when I reach out to you and you don't respond, I feel unworthy. So that's an example of your problem. If you're a codependent person, there's the crux of your problem right there. Your relationships have negative reciprocity. So this is such an issue for people who give and give. It is necessary in healthy relationships to need someone a time or two. That is necessary to make the partner feel wanted. So number 3, tailor reciprocity to each individual. Now, I'm just going to say, if you've ever heard me say this love language garbage, it was really hard for me to write this, but it's true, okay? I'm learning. Don't judge me. This love language stuff, it actually might have something, legit, okay? It sounds like some crybaby stuff, but I think I'm starting to understand its importance, unfortunately. Relationship therapists talk about reciprocity in terms of different love languages. I said it, I know. If you like to receive gifts and your partner or partners like to receive words of affirmation, make sure you tailor your support to their love language rather than your own. When my brother hears this, he's going to make fun of me. I just know it. I know it. Number 4, think long term rather than judging a single moment. In any situation, there will be someone who's giving energy and someone who's receiving energy. Avoid focusing on these specific moments to judge if there's an imbalance in your intimate relationship. Instead, zoom out and think about the bigger picture. Consider trends over longer periods and decide if each person in the relationship supports their partner or partner's well-being. To have a reciprocal relationship, each partner must know that their needs are met and are able to express those needs to their partner. If those needs aren't met, they must be able to communicate that to their partner. Another thing to keep in mind, a person's early childhood can affect how or if they practice reciprocity in their relationship. People who didn't grow up in a home where family members gave to one another freely have no frame of reference for how to do it or what it looks like when done correctly. And there are studies that prove the decline in health for people on the too much giving end of the reciprocity or too much giving end of the negative reciprocity. There's plenty of studies out there. There's studies that go way farther. I know for me, I've never seen this in practice ever once. Now I'm learning how to be a good friend, how to be a reciprocal partner, and also the huge need for it. Because what happens is a lot of times we give our energy incorrectly. So we're so busy being givers and caring about other people and their situations, we run after people when all along we're neglecting the people next to us who want to be there, who want to be in a relationship with you or a friendship with you, and you ignore them completely because you're so focused on that negative reciprocal relationship. And again, like I brought up, it causes codependency. And codependency takes on many forms. Again, I don't want to spend too much time on codependency, but it is an example of what will happen. And it comes in friendships, family members, everything like that. If you've ever had a family member who might be a drug addict, you're trying to save their life, but they don't want to give in enough to better themselves, to get help. So that's an example. And it becomes a codependent relationship. They know they can come to you and get money from you and guilt you, and it becomes totally a one sided relationship. So the flow of energy in both directions is what allows both partners to feel loved and valued. In other words, reciprocity is not just important in a romantic relationship, it's vital. No one wants to feel like they're giving and not receiving. And it causes obsessiveness, it causes paranoia, it causes the one person to obsess over what they did wrong and how to fix it and how to be better. And then it can lead to all sorts of distortion, all sorts of negative emotions and negative energy. And you know, that relationship could actually go on years and years and years, and then it just becomes so bitter in the end that it's downright scary for both partners. And the one person is, pretty much driven crazy. But if they would have stopped it in the beginning and said, I need more from you, or I need to feel this. So that's where open communication plays a vital role in all relationships, friendships, family members, and then, of course, love relationships. So, to give you another example of what negative reciprocity looks like, another good example is unrequited love. So, unrequited love occurs when one person yearns for unconditional love from another individual who doesn't feel the same way. This type of love appears more prevalently in people with anxious attachment styles and low defensiveness. So, what are unrequited love symptoms? Unrequited love is a form of love that distorts one's ideas about the person they're in love with. You may be so caught up in your romantic thoughts for this person that it's hard to notice they don't feel the same. Signs of unrequited love include unreciprocated emotions, having an unrealistic view of the person you're in love with, one sided contact through phone calls, texts, and social media. If you say something super thoughtful and lengthy and the person responds with 10 words or less, that is unrequited love. And that is a dangerous situation for a person to stay in. So, what else to know about one sided love? Unrequited love is when an unreciprocated love causes a desire for complete love. There are 5 types of unrequited love: a crush on someone unavailable, a fixation on someone nearby, pursuing a love object, longing for a past love, an unequal love relationship. So, a study on the 5 types of unrequited love found that all kinds of these relationships are less emotionally intense than reciprocated love. Unrequited love is also found to be 4 times more prevalent than the love shared by 2 people. So, this is a common thing. And again, if you start to analyze all of your current relationships, family, friends, so on and so forth, you will see if any of them are unbalanced. Think about it. It's not about material, what you do for them financially. It's about, are they there for you emotionally? If you need someone, do you have someone to talk to? Do you have someone to confide in? If someone has constantly breaking that trust, if someone is constantly rejecting you, get out of those situations, because you will love yourself more in the end the moment you stand up for yourself, stand in your power, and just become a interdependent person. You will thank me. All right. I hope this has been helpful. If you want any more discussion about it, hit me up. Um, I wanted to get this message out there because of the recent events we've been in, because of the recent breakups that we've seen across YouTube's live streams. I think it was an important topic to cover. All right, I'll see y'all soon.